it going, guys? It's the Pixelated Pumpkin, and welcome back to another Versus video. Today we'll be comparing Spirit Halloween 2016 Electrified Corpse and Spirit Halloween 2019 Experimental Eddie. As always, we'll be comparing three things: animation, overall look, and audio/dialogue. Let's get right into it. Starting us off with overall look, we got Electrified Corpse. Electrified Corpse has a very cool upside-down hanging design, and the detail is outstanding. What really sells it for me is his charred face and how one arm is ripped off. I just love the detail they put in for his charred face, definitely signifying that this guy has been electrocuted for a long time, which is really cool. I also like how he's a hanging upside-down prop. That definitely adds to him. Maybe he's fallen out of something, but wires are holding him in, and that's why he's all electrocuted. So I really like that. I also love all the wires sticking out of his body and how they're all different sizes, which definitely adds to it. I love how one hand is ripped off. It looks very realistic, and the bloodiness of it definitely adds to this. I definitely love his overall look. But now let's take a look at Experimental Eddie to see how he stacks up. Next up for overall look, we got Experimental Eddie. Experimental Eddie doesn't go for the electrocuted human. Instead, he's this Frankenstein-esque monster, which I definitely love about him. It just adds some originality, and I love that Spirit is doing their take on a classic monster like Frankenstein, and I think it's great. I definitely love everything about him. I love all the bolts in his body and on his chest and his head, and something I love is how long the wires stick out and that they light up on the ends, which definitely adds a lot to this prop. He's definitely he's my fourth favorite for this year, but I definitely also love Electrified Corpse. But I think this one is still really good, and I think I'm gonna give the point for overall look to Experimental Eddie, just because he does something than a tortured guy look. I love their take on Frankenstein. I think it's fabulous. I think they're very smart to do their own take on Frankenstein, which is great. So that's why I'm giving the first point to Experimental Eddie, so he gets it for overall look. Starting us off with animation, we got Experimental Eddie. Experimental Eddie has a convulsion motion where he just shakes around and his head bobs around, because I think there's a spring attached, which kind of lets it go crazy, which is pretty cool, and I do like how his head moves. And there's really not too much to say about his animation, but it is okay. But the one problem I really have with it is it doesn't really look like he's getting electrocuted. If he was getting electrocuted, I feel like he would be more like shaking and look like he's having a seizure more than just basically just rocking around really quickly. But I do like that animation. The convulsing animation is really cool. So let's see how Electrified Corpse does compared to Experimental Eddie in animation. Let's get right on into it. Electrified Corpse definitely has that more this guy's being electrocuted animation than Experimental Eddie. His twitching motion is definitely very fast, and it's pretty good motion for a 2016 prop, which I do love. Definitely, I think his animation is better than Experimental Eddie, only because his twitching motion feels like this guy's being electrocuted. Because Experimental Eddie, his animation really isn't fast enough to how this guy's being electrocuted feel. I know I'm saying this guy's being electrocuted a lot, but whatever. So it definitely feels like he's being electrocuted. The animation definitely makes it more realistic. This guy's being shocked and he's screaming and shaking, so that's what I love about it. So I'm giving the point for animation to Electrified Corpse. Let's see who wins it in the final match for audio and dialogue. Can't wait. Let's get right into it. What you just heard was Experimental Eddie's audio. Pretty cool. The moanings definitely feel like it's coming from a Frankenstein creature, which definitely adds to this prop's whole Frankenstein theme. You could definitely hear the electricity, but I'm pretty sure Spirit just added that in this video since this video was taken from YouTube. So there's not that much electricity sounds, but it definitely feels like this guy's being electrocuted. But the moaning, it doesn't really sound like he's being shocked at all, which I think is okay for the prop, because he is a Frankenstein, and it definitely feels like he's making Frankenstein monster sounds. So yeah, so I do like his audio, but let's see how Electrified Corpse does. What you just listened to was Electrified Corpse's audio. I definitely love it. It definitely feels like this guy's being shocked, electrocuted, and tortured, and it's kind of scary to hear his screaming. He seems like he's in pain, and you can't do anything about it, which definitely adds to the creep factor of this prop, too. I do like it a lot. His screams definitely send chills down your spine if you can't see him yet. But when you see him finally, he's just an electrocuted guy, but still, his screams do send shocks down your spine, though. I definitely love him. I love the audio is actually really good on this prop. The shocks are okay. I think Experimental Eddie was a bit overdone with the electricity where you can't really hear him that much. But I think I'm going to give the final point to Electrified Corpse for audio, just because the screaming sounds a lot better than the moaning. So, Electrified Corpse got the point. Now let's see who won. And the winner of the matchup between Electrified Corpse and Experimental Eddie is... Electrified Corpse wins! Let's go, guys. Give it up for Electrified Corpse because he has won this matchup just because I thought his animation and audio felt like he was being electrocuted. And so didn't really go for Experimental Eddie. So that's why Electrified Corpse wins. So I just want to thank you all so much for watching this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And as always, I will see you in the next one. This is the Pixelated Pumpkin, signing out.